For many Americans, Social Security is an important part of their retirement income. But with the federal deficit growing and the Social Security system becoming more strained, there are concerns that the system may collapse in the near future. In this video, we'll take a closer look at Social Security, its history, how it's funded, and potential solutions to the Social Security crisis. What is Social Security? Social Security is a federal program that provides benefits to retired people, disabled people, and their family members. The program is funded by payroll taxes paid by employers and employees, and the money is used to pay benefits to those who are eligible. The Social Security system also includes a trust fund, which is used to supplement the benefits paid out by the program. The Social Security system has been in place since 1935, when it was created by the Social Security Act. The program was designed to provide a financial safety net for people who were unable to work due to old age, disability, or death. History of Social Security. The Social Security Act was passed during the Great Depression, when the economy was in a deep recession and unemployment was high. The program was designed to provide a financial safety net for people who could no longer work due to old age, disability, or death. The program was also designed to provide an incentive for people to save for retirement. The Social Security system was initially funded by payroll taxes, but in the 1950s, Congress changed the law to allow for additional sources of funding, such as borrowing from the trust fund. Since then, the Social Security system has been supplemented by income from investments and other sources. How Social Security is funded. Social Security is funded primarily by payroll taxes. Employers and employees each pay 6.2% of the employee's wages and taxes. The money is used to pay Social Security benefits to retirees, disabled people, and their families. In addition, the Social Security system is supplemented by income from investments and other sources. The Social Security system also includes a trust fund, which is used to supplement the benefits paid out by the program. The trust fund is funded by the payroll taxes paid by employers and employees, as well as by other sources of income, such as taxes on Social Security benefits and interest earned on the trust fund's investments. Problems with Social Security. While Social Security has helped millions of people, the program has been facing increasing financial pressure for several years. The main problem is that the program is not taking in enough money to cover the benefits it pays out. This is due to a number of factors, including an aging population, rising healthcare costs, and a decrease in the number of people paying into the system. The Social Security system is also facing a number of demographic changes, such as an aging population and lower fertility rates. As the population ages, there are fewer people paying into the system and more people drawing benefits. This puts a strain on the system, as there is not enough money coming into the system to pay out the benefits. How Social Security affects the federal deficit. The Social Security system is a major contributor to the federal deficit, as the system is currently running an annual deficit of around $70 billion. This deficit is projected to increase in the coming years, as the Social Security system is taking in less money than it is paying out. This deficit is funded by borrowing from the trust fund, which adds to the federal deficit. The program is projected to become insolvent by the year 2035, which could lead to drastic cuts in Social Security benefits or other changes to the system. So how do we reform the system? There's no need to reform it at all. To understand why, let's start by understanding what the problem is. Social Security started as a pay-as-you-go system. Workers paid a percentage of their income, and the money went straight to retirees. That worked fine from the 1930s to the 1970s, but by the late 1970s, two things had changed. 1. In the inflation of the 1970s, Social Security benefits had been increased beyond inflation, partly to help seniors who were getting a fixed pension that was no longer worth anything, partly just because seniors vote. This did a lot to reduce poverty among the elderly, by the way. 2. That was sustainable while the working population was growing, but the baby boom had clearly ended. Eventually there was going to be a big blob of retirees with proportionally fewer workers. So fewer workers were going to be paying more money to more retirees. In the early 1980s, we came up with a solution: raise Social Security taxes then to the current 12.4% so that they wouldn't have to be raised even more later. This tax brought in more than was needed for each year's retirees. The excess went into a trust fund, which was invested in government bonds. They earned interest, which was paid in more bonds. The plan was, when the boomers started retiring, the tax would bring in less than the money needed to pay benefits. At that point, the trust fund would cash in the bonds and keep the benefits going. The fund accumulated, and now it's $3 trillion or so, which sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. But it might not be enough to pay everyone's full benefits until the baby boomers die off. Now, some things to keep in mind. 1. I said might. The future is uncertain, and estimates have varied over time based on guesses about economic conditions, demographic changes, even unknowables like how many old people will COVID kill in the next 10 years. The trust fund was supposed to already be paying down its surplus by now, but it's not. And there are bigger questions about the future at this point. If Florida is no longer dry land, the question of whether you can afford to retire there will be kind of moot. 2. If the trust fund runs out, that doesn't mean SS is broke and nobody gets anything. It means that the extra funding from cashing in the bonds won't be coming in. The taxes will still be enough to pay 70% of current benefits. 3. The only way the trust fund can run out is if the government allocates a flow of money to pay back those bonds. There's no law against keeping that flow going after the bonds are cashed in. 4. The possible shortfall is the only real problem SS has. It doesn't need to be reformed in any other sense. It's paid pensions reasonably efficiently, with minimal scandal, and cheerfully for almost a century. 5. There's an obvious way to raise more money for SS. For whatever reason the tax maxes out at an income $160,000 or so this year. It goes up with inflation. So someone who makes $160,000 pays the same as someone who makes $160 million. Removing that cap would bring in quite a decent amount of money and not take food off of anyone's plate. But again, we don't need to do anything. It's perfectly reasonable to simply wait and see if the fund is really going to run out, and either 1, take whatever flow of money that was paying back the bonds and use it to pay benefits directly, 2, cut benefits or raise other taxes then, 3, keep getting the money from the same magic place we get tax cuts from, or 4, some combination of those. So why do we hear so much about reform? Well, a lot of what we hear makes no sense as good faith attempts to reform the system, but do make sense as a useful way to avoid having to allocate money to pay those bonds back at all. There are powerful interests who would like that, because then the money could go to tax cuts for them. In fact, in a sense the money already has gone to tax cuts for them, which is a long discussion, and they'd like to keep it. That's why so many reforms come down to cutting benefits now, which makes no sense given that the alternative is that we might have to cut benefits in the future. The solution is clearly worse than the problem. There was also the reform of putting the money in private accounts in the stock market. That one hasn't been seriously put forward since the Bush administration, but it's a good example of how doing nothing can be the wisest course. Giving everyone an account with their own money in it to invest sounded good, but remember, a lot of our current taxes pay current retirees' benefits. So the plan involved coming up with a whole lot of money to replace that flowing extra trillion or so. But if we had an extra trillion to spend on SS, we could also have just used it to solve the shortfall everyone professed to be so worried about. Again, nonsensical as a good faith reform effort. A lot of the money would have become fees for Wall Street, which liked the plan. This is not trivial. The privatized Chilean pension system loses like 20% to fees. I don't remember if this is per year, which seems unlikely, or cumulative over the pensioner's life, but either way it's a lot. The influx of money into the markets would have driven up the prices of existing financial assets, enriching their owners, who liked the plan. In 2008, we learned that the financial markets weren't quite as stable as advertised. The flow of money would probably have delayed the crash, but not prevented it. A lot of people would have lost everything in the crash. We were better off not doing anything. Future of Social Security. It's hard to predict the future of Social Security. It's possible that the system could become insolvent in the near future, which could lead to drastic cuts in benefits or other changes to the system. However, it's also possible that the system could be saved by finding ways to reduce costs and increase efficiency. It's also possible that the Social Security system could be revamped to make it more efficient and sustainable. This could include raising the payroll tax rate, reducing benefits, or raising the retirement age. It could also include increasing the efficiency of the system, such as by streamlining the application process and improving customer service. Strategies for maximizing Social Security benefits. There are a number of strategies that can be used to maximize Social Security benefits. One strategy is to delay taking benefits until you reach full retirement age, which is determined by your birth year. Another strategy is to take advantage of spousal benefits, which can provide an additional source of income. It's also important to make sure that you are paying into the Social Security system for as long as possible, as the longer you pay into the system, the more money you will receive when you retire. Social Security benefits for disabled adults and their families. Social Security also provides benefits to disabled adults and their families. These benefits can provide an additional source of income and can help to cover medical costs. To qualify for these benefits, the disabled adult must meet the requirements of the Social Security Administration. In addition, the disabled adult must be unable to work due to their disability. Conclusion: Social Security is an important part of many Americans' retirement plans. However, the system is facing a number of financial difficulties, which could lead to drastic cuts in benefits or other changes to the system. It's important to understand the history and funding of Social Security, as well as potential solutions to the Social Security crisis. It's also important to take steps to maximize your Social Security benefits and to make sure that you are paying into the system for as long as possible. Finally, it's important to understand the benefits available to disabled adults and their families.